coming fast, days running past. We maze runners ablaze and stay numbered last. The pain that we display, you can't understand. That's why we move with the faith of David Abraham. We tryna pace where the apes be. Keys like HP, curses live at HD. Women chasing clout and brothers changing their faces. Screaming, oh God, send your son to save us.
So tired of all the pain. See all my people ailing. Cause living day to day is hard to face. But know that on that day you can release them chains. So give him all the praise and change. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come. You know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come. You know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come. Yeah, it's time for a change to come to my people. Cause Lord knows that we ain't treated equal. 400 years of the same old ish. Rape, rob, kill and spoil, getting off the shit. Now check it, can barely wait for that day to come. Getting ready for that war, time to beat the drum. And to the ones trying to hold me back with bent up faces, just call me Master Eddie, trading places.
Change gon' come, and it's coming fast. I know change gon' come, cause this world won't last. I know it's so much hurt, and it's so much pain. But when them cherries come, just know the world gon' change. Why my people cry, cause they tired of lies. That's why we face the east, pray to Yahweh Shai. Change gon' come. Prophecy says that change gon' come. Yeah.
So tired of all the pain. See all my people ailing. Cause living day to day is hard to face. But know that on that day you can release them chains. So give him all the praise and change. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come.
Look, we've been trying to get up out of this, but we've been too busy worshiping some nonsense. Jesus, we want change that happen real quick, but we are stiff-necked people and we don't give a All women all up on Instagram, shaking and twerking their ass like they don't give a damn. And if we really want change, we gotta open our book and be baptized again. We gotta change.
So tired of all the pain. See all my people ailing. Cause living day to day is hard to face. But know that on that day you can release them chains. So give him all the praise and change. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come.
Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, you know change gon' come, change gon' come. Rattle in the scripts that change gon' come, that change gon' come, that change gon' come, that change gon' come. Because of what's up, say
Spend so much time getting this money, never realized realized them the faces of slave owners. Niggas a snake on you, he got shot in the face over slave owners. White people smile in my face, they the children of slave owners. They all fake, I hate them all, stole our history straight from us. Buying designer clothes from families traced back to slave owners. The Jewish man a bitch, they bought the land so we can't own it. They ain't get bought to slavery on no ships, like we ain't noticed. Deuteronomy 28, explain us leaving Cape Coast. Straight boats, they stole our name and our history straight from us. King James was black and Christ was too. Man, they straight bogus, but playing with the children's roulette while it's loaded. I pray your day is closer, like bang, blow your brains open. The goal is keep us slaves with the paper, putting drugs in the streets to keep us chasing. Yeah, keep the men out the house while they children stay going. Make it war with each other so division stay focused. Control the media to make them hate us. If we teach them hate theyself, they'll never make it. Yeah, discriminate them at the job and lock them up for selling drugs. If we keep on teaching hate, they will never learn to love.
They put demons all in our face, rose up idols all in our state, destroyed our mind with all of they talent, all and they piling on what they hate. Now we dying so they've raised to teach us lies with all that they say. That goes from schools to the media, designed to change the way you think and the way you pray, the words you speak and the money you pay for the things you get and the people don't know. So we marry their kids and we change our codes and the things don't grow when the kids get rich. Lose that money and the wife and kids and they start back over. This is a trap for show, then they sell you music by the trap life. Seem like living in a trap life though. We don't get paid from the money they grow. We get pennies on the dollar, my bro. We get pennies on the dollar, my bro. Sometimes I really wanna holler at my bro. Tell them that we've been played on the low. We still slaves and they still own. We still slaves and they still own us.
The goal is keep us slaves with the paper.
Us.
Putting drugs in the streets to keep us chasing. Yeah, keep the men out the house while they children stay growing. Make it war with each other so division stay focused. Control the media to make them hate us. If we teach them hate theyself, they'll never make it. Yeah, discriminate them at the job and lock them up for selling drugs. If we keep on teaching hate, they will never learn to love.
Jerusalem, Israel, a holy land where the saints dwell.
Hebrew Biz. Going back.
Yeah.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Kingdom come, thy will be done. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Like Nazareth, we from the slum. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. No ET, but we going home. We going home. We going back to Jerusalem. Jerusalem. We going back to Jerusalem. Eat this scroll, shelter thy navel and marrow thy bones. You never heard life on the likes of a song. Telling what's right in the sight of the throne. No sin is condoned, for we hated knowledge, heart turning to stone. This for the courageous, he told us be strong. He coming quickly, this ain't gonna be long. We're going with him, yeah, we going home. New rules and read good fruit songs. The water, I King Shalom. Dogs cast out all the heathen. Dogs brought a vine out of Egypt. Blessed be the man that read it. Lil Mashiach, our Redeemer. Lord, have mercy on our people. Floating on the wings of an eagle. For every lie and unbeliever. No fairy tales, nor dreamers. Heaven on earth is a kingdom. We just gotta have hope. They defiled the food and the soap. Angels round about me, cloak. Just sheep in the world full of goats. Armand Jordan, yeah, they sound foreign, but those are Avil already knowing. Living water flowing, got your lights showing. Keep the fight going, no stripe, corrupt fruits growing. No famine, I ain't talking food shorts. Ever since Egypt, baby's been aborted. No marriages, baby mamas and baby daddies. Living life like they never had it. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Kingdom come, thy will be done. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Like Nazareth, we from the slum. Nazareth, we from the slum. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Ayy, we going back to Jerusalem.
Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Deuteronomy 16, let me tell you what that means. How about a place full of love and grace so we dance around and rejoice? Cause we hear Yahweh's voice. Everything shines like gold and grows 10 times fold. Where servants march, you hear angels' harps and the wicked do what they told. And the prophecies unfold. Where milk and honey flows and melanin shines like gold. No sin exists in sight. The way, the truth, and the light. Where emotions don't exist. No protesting, raising black fists. And crying over families we miss. The valley of the dry bones. The chosen children of God. Raise up Hamashiach.
No more ghetto. No more slums. Cause we going home. When chariots fly. And our ancestors rise. And we stand in front of the Most High. We know we home.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Kingdom come, thy will be done. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Like Nazareth, we from the slum. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. No ET, but we going home. We going home. We going back to Jerusalem. Jerusalem. Ayy, we going back to Jerusalem.
My water straight from the throne. We built the altar with the unhewn stones. Roam through the city, all we seeing is these bones. So my face like flint till I wake a couple souls. A prophet hated by his own, so the father sent his son to bring the tribes of Jacob home. Jumping through these traps, cause they trying to see us gone. But we walking through the fire just like Daniel and his bros. From Bereshit to her zone, we stay inside the book because the book is all we own. Heritage and you better hold it on. We like David fighting giants with no armor and a stone. We face east cause a car home. We face east just to call home. We can't sleep till we all home. We won't rest till they all gone. So I guess that we be calling out they all bones. Bless the seed, invest the deep in the laws of our God. Make us Elohim, Shema, Warapah, all the side the king. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashat Nagim. Bless the seed, invest the deep in the laws of our God. Make us Elohim, Shema, Warapah, all the side the king. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashat Nagim. From Bereshit to the books in Greek, the dragon took the sheep. Man, the book complete. The father looked for peace, but we shook the beast. Now we up until our power put the hook in cheek. Shema, Yasha Allah, Abanawa, Yahweh, Ahad. He the tower till he give us the power of God. Though in the tower you will never devour a tribe. The Lord despised all you devils, your hours arrive. Bless the seed that kept the peace. Never forgot the poor and he kept the feast. We trying to dodge destruction, they can't stop the sea. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashat Nagim. Bless the seed that kept the peace. Never forgot the poor and he kept the feast. Trying to dodge destruction, they can't stop the sea. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashat Nagim.
Shalom. All right, we're the Anointed House of Saints. All right, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh. I'm your brother Judah.
Hey, I'm your brother Jonathan.
My brother Benyamin.
Shalom, Israel, brother Boaz on the scene.
That's right.
All right, all praise to the Most High, man. This is another class of Thursday Night Live. You already know what it is. Like the video when you enter the building, Bobby Cashapp. Make sure you have subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you can get all notifications. We're dropping a lot of content, whether it's YouTube shorts, camp videos, classes, impromptu classes that's just going to be dropping on the channel. We want you to get all of that. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Help us out a little bit by hitting that like, share, and share button. You know what I'm saying? Also, all right, before we get into these shout outs, hey man, we got a Unity Camp coming up. All right, so-called Cinco de Mayo weekend. All right, it's gonna be in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're gonna break ground in Charlotte, out there with the Captain Yakum Yah. All right, it's gonna be in downtown Charlotte, May 6, 2023. The exact location will be announced. All right, where we're gonna be at, but it's a Unity Camp. So brothers who are in other camps, or if you're not in the camp, you in the area, man, just stop on through. You know what I'm saying? Come, you know what I'm saying, stand with your brothers as we do the work. There's a ball crawl going on out there. It's gonna be crazy. So go ahead and come on through, hit us up if you would like the location and all of that. We'll announce it right before it happens. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Also, man, Passover 2023, April 3rd, 2023 in Atlanta, Georgia. You already know what it is. It's AHOS first Passover. All right, as a camp.
That's right.
Building. That's right. We want you in the building, man. We want you in the building. So with that being said, we still got space for you. So if you want to come on through, send us an email to AnointedHOS@gmail.com. Once again, AnointedHOS@gmail.com. And what we'll do, we'll send you an RSVP link. And we'll send you an RSVP link. And then we'll, you'll be able to RSVP. We'll shoot you an email so you can pay accordingly. We're going to have good food. You know what I'm saying? An excellent lesson. You feel me? And we're going to have great performances. You know what I'm saying? The brother Jonathan and his son going to be performing. Canal 104 is going to be performing. Sister Abaya is going to be performing. Shaquat going to be performing. Brother Not going to be performing. And probably some other people that I just can't remember. You know what I'm saying? So definitely come through and have a good time. We'll be there starting on Friday. We'll have a camp Friday night downtown. Then we'll have our regular camp downtown Atlanta, little 5 points. You see what I'm saying? Then we're going to have the cookout and music video shoot for the last song that y'all heard, Mashot Nagee by the brother Jonathan. That's going to be nice. So make sure y'all are in the building. All right. And you know what I'm saying? Come fellowship with us. You know what I'm saying? So with that, let's get some shout outs in. And then I'm going to pass it on over. I'm going to hop off this thing. All right. We got the Captain Howard in the building. Shalom. Sister Joan Gilchrist. Yaquab, Nadia, Kodah, Shalom to y'all. Michelle John Allen, Aharon, Captain Aharon, Sister Azaniah. Shalom and congratulations to you, sister. All right. Got the Captain Jonathan on the screen. Brother Yawasop. All right. On the scene, Sister Christina. All right. Brother Issachar. All right. The brother Ariah. All right. Shalom. Got the brother Benyamin on the screen. Wagwan. Shalom. All right. We got the brother Gary in the building. Prospect Gary in the building. Yeah, man. If you want to prospect with HOS, send us an email. AnointedHOS@gmail.com. Send us your phone number. Tell us where you at. And we'll add you to the next prospect phase. All right.
That's right.
Got the brother Boaz on the screen. Shalom. Got the brother Keziah. Shalom 2 times, King. All right. Sister Michelle in the building. Shalom. All right. Got the brother Kadar Aharon in the building. Sister Abaya is in the building. DTA Twan is in the building. Sister Anaraya is in the building.
Hey, shout out to that brother DTA Twine, man. They doing some good work out there, man.
That's right. That reminded me of something too. And brother Hezekiah, man, in the building. Shalom, and DTA to this guy. All right. Now, the brother DTA Twan and Hezekiah, man, they beat us to the punch, man. They doing a good work out there.
Hold up. Gotta get them with the applause.
Oh,
gotta get the applause real quick. You know, all praise to the Most High for that.
That's right. Yeah, man. The brothers went out with another brother. I think his name was Omar. They went out and did the work, man. They fed the people, you know. A homeless brother that we've taught on numerous occasions. He was shot and killed on a famous street that's in everybody's city that people are getting killed on, Martin Luther King. Right? The brother didn't do anything to anybody. You know what I'm saying? He was a good brother. He always remember, even in the position that he was in, he always, you know what I'm saying, remember what we taught him. You know what I'm saying? He was always pleasant. And it's crazy when you have 2 candlelight visuals because people are so hurt They had 2 candlelight visuals here in downtown Greensboro where the owners of the shops downtown was crying. Normally, they don't want to see no homeless people around. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I get mad every time I talk about it, so I'm not about to keep talking about it. But in his honor, man, we're going to do, you know what I'm saying? We're going to give out food for the brother. So the brothers and sisters of AHOS North Carolina, we're going to get together. All right, we're going to cook some stuff up, and we're going to give it to the homeless. You know, man, shout out to the brother. Man, I don't forgot my man name. I'm talking about this brother Lance, man. It kind of got me upset. Let me get the brother name so I don't. Free Dope Major, man. Shout out to brother Free Dope Major. You probably seen it on the old channel and on the old Instagram when we was with SOT. You know what I'm saying? He showed us mad love during the Juneteenth event. This brother raised $7,500. Got his brother, Lance brother and sister, who've been looking for him forever. Got them down here from Florida so they can properly bury their brother. A little backdrop about that before we continue. Lance was a product of multi-generational poverty. All right, his brothers and sisters were split up when his mother, his grandmother, and his aunt passed away, and he never bounced back from it. His brother and sisters been looking for him for years, only to find out, Shalom to Kazaki, only to find out that the brother has been killed. It was on the news, man. It was, you know, it was hard to watch. You know what I'm saying? One thing that brother Free Dope Major said, he said, for us to be able to raise $7,500 in 4 days showed us that we had the resources the whole time, and we could have gave him that money when he was alive.
Yeah,
but we don't want to do nothing until somebody die. You know what I'm saying? Don't show no love when people die, man. Show them the love when they here, man. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I'm gonna put the Cash App on the bottom. All right, it's Anointed HOSNC. If you want to send some alms to help us feed the homeless in downtown Greensboro, shoot us a Cash App to Anointed HOSNC, and in the memo, put alms for the homeless. All those funds are going to be for that, man. Sister Laretha sent us a generous donation. A couple other brothers that I don't know sent some generous donations. Shout out to Captain y'all were all from SOT. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the first people to send a donation. You know what I mean? So if you would like to help us with that, go ahead and send us a donation. Whatever you send will be used towards that.
That's right.
All right. So let's go ahead and get our spirits back up a little bit. We had to have that conversation, but the brother Jonathan is going to bring out an excellent lesson about the language of the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? And hey man, I believe also before I let y'all go, I believe y'all can super chat now. We got super chats open, or you can give to the YouTube during the classes. So man, if you want to if you like the lesson, you just want to help us push the word, every donation is greatly accepted, you know what I'm saying, and appreciated. And you can do that right here on the live, and brothers shout you out. So
that's right.
Hey man, with that being said, let's get into this excellent lesson by the brother Jonathan. I'm signing off. Shalom.
All right, shalom. Hey, appreciate that. Hey, we want to put some prayers up for Israel as a whole. Israel been going through a lot of stuff. Brothers getting sick, car wrecks. You know, parents and grandparents being diagnosed with different things. So let's definitely turn to the east for our brethren at some point throughout your day. Right, you need to be doing it multiple times throughout your day, but have it on a piece of paper. Right? Have it on a piece of paper so you can remember, oh man, I need to be praying for that brother Benjamin. I forgot about that. You see what I'm saying? So it can bring it back to your remembrance. All right, Israel. But hey, we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna deal with the culture tonight. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be a whole bunch of precepts, but I am gonna start off with a couple. Let's get Isaiah 28:11 and Benjamin, if you can get Jeremiah 17:4. Because we understand that we were separated from our culture, right? And so now we are in the stage of building and trying to come back to it. But we starting with, it's like putting a puzzle together without having, you know how that little picture be on the front of the box? You know that little picture be on the box when you do the puzzle? Like, imagine you was doing the puzzle, but you ain't had that picture. That's what we don't have. We trying to reconstruct our culture. We don't have that picture to go off of. So we kind of got to do what we see in the scriptures. And then certain things we got to kind of do the best we can. You understand? So let's get that precept real quick.
It's the book of Isaiah,
Yeah, let's hit Isaiah first.
Okay. This book of Isaiah, chapter 28 and verse 11. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
Hey, and we can teach this multiple ways, right? We can break this down a couple of different ways. But right now, I want you to understand that the Most High was going to speak to us in a different language. You need to understand that. That's why when you get to the New Testament, right, the book of Acts chapter 2, all the men on the day of Pentecost are hearing different languages that's calling and telling them the truth about Hamashiach Yahushua, right? In these various different languages, right? Because they have been scattered. They living as the Greeks. They living as the heathens do. They need to hear the words of the Most High God in a language that they understand. That's what happened with us, right? But does that mean those people woke up and said, to hell with Hebrew? Most likely they also knew Hebrew because they were making a journey to Jerusalem, right? You're going to come to Jerusalem and not know Hebrew in the ancient world when the temple is standing? You're not going to do that, right? Let's get that Jeremiah 17 and 4.
Okay. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies.
Keep going. You got it.
Which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Okay. And that fire is going to burn forever. The Most High is still mad at you, but he is giving you the amount of grace that you need to lift yourself up and to start moving towards these commandments. But he's still mad. Don't mess that up. Right. Don't forget that the Most High is still mad at you. Right now, I want to get one more precept to drive this point home that we're going to jump into it. Let's get Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. Right. And we're going to read 8 and 9. And I want you to read it slow because I want to show the people the context as well. And Israel, y'all bear with me tonight. If my internet start messing up, man, you already know. We out here in the boonies, man. Like Esau ain't trying to let this word get out. All right. Right.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 8. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey.
Until what day?
Until the day that I rise up to the prey.
So I want to ask everybody on the live, has that day started yet? The day that the Lord rises up unto the prey, has that day happened yet? Keep reading.
For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms.
Hold up. So now he's going to gather the nations and assemble the kingdoms, right? And it ain't going to be the whole hands. Let's keep reading. Go ahead.
To pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy.
Hey, none of this has happened yet. I think we all agree on that, right? None of this has happened yet. Now I want you to read that next verse.
Verse 9. For then will I turn to the people a pure language.
So he's giving you a time stamp. You ain't going to have a pure language until that happens. And all of this goes hand in hand, right? We in captivity. We lost our culture. We amongst the heathen. A lot of our people love damn Esau. Hey, I want one of y'all brothers go through the chat and find where Benjamin put the greeting in the Paleo Hebrew, man. Matter of fact, I got it right here. Right? So we are in captivity, but we are scratching and scraping to get back to our culture. And now we have technology that allows us to do what the brother did right here, man. We can put a greeting in a foreign language, right? That you were not born speaking this language, but it's intelligible and we can communicate through this medium, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not pure just yet, because the scripture said after the Lord pours the indignation on all the nations, then it will be pure. I'm gonna show you that, and I'm gonna demonstrate that to you. We also gonna break down the differences, and y'all let me know if I'm breaking up. But we also gonna break down the differences between the Paleo Hebrew, the Yiddish, and the modern, or not the modern, but the biblical Hebrew. And I'm using those three terms on purpose. All right. So a lot of us have a preconceived notion that the Yiddish is the biblical Hebrew, and that's something that we're gonna debunk today. We're also going to talk about the Lashawan Kodash. We're going to talk about people like Vocab who like to call our language and our attempt at coming back to a language. They're going to call that a fake language, but that's not new. They've been doing this. They've been calling everything we do fake language. Matter of fact, when the Jamaican brothers and sisters was speaking patois, they called that a fake language. When the Geechee people was speaking their language, they called that a fake language, right? But since then, all of these have been recognized as legitimate languages. All right, Khan, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't there a video out there where Esau, who is looking at the name Yahweh, and he pronunciates it Yahweh?
Right.
That was, you have to.
He's reading.
Yeah, you have to show me.
Oh man.
Yeah, Khan, I saw that one. He literally was
right there. Knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with
right there on the stone, and he was reading it off.
Yeah,
he was fumbling a little bit, but he was saying, but then he got to the name Yahweh.
He said the name Yahweh.
And he was,
hey, but you know what? In the name Yahweh is a very, very powerful name. And no matter which language system of the Hebrew you come from, it's possible to come up with the pronunciation Yahweh. We're gonna deal with that a little bit as well, right? Hey, Benyamin, tell the family what's going on the screen. What you got? What the greeting says on the screen here?
No problem. So I said, Shalom, Mashpaka, right? That means peace unto you, family, right? So then the next line says, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah. So that's the greeting in the Paleo right there.
That's right. That's right. Hey, and that's very important for y'all to understand that. A lot of us will hear that said or hear people say it in passing, but we don't necessarily compute what's being said. But right. You're saying the Most High's name, and then you're turning around after that and saying, they were saying they couldn't see it. I had it pinned at the bottom of the screen. All right. It was just Benyamin's message. If you scroll up in the okay. So the Hebrew doesn't show up.
Really?
That's weird though, because I could see it.
Yeah, I just saw it too.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. Probably Esau playing games with us.
Right.
I'm gonna show y'all something real quick, and I'm gonna pull my screen up here. All right.
I'm sending you that video right now.
Okay, Khan, all praises. All right. So if you in the camp, this is very valuable information for you. I will provide these slides to the brothers in the camp if you need them. All right. There's a lot of research that goes into this. I'm talking about months of research. And there's another presentation we're going to go into, which I'm not doing live on video at all. It's only going to be for the brothers in the camp. And that's on textual criticism of the Bible. Once again, all the sources are always at the bottom in red when I do a presentation so that y'all can know where this information comes from. All right. And I'm going to get right into it. All right. Salaki. Yeah. All right. So as we know, the Hebrew language is a Afro-Asiatic language. It comes from the space of land between what they call Asia Minor and what they call Africa. Right. And if we go into our history, we can see our people journeying in between these lands. We started out in Egypt. We journeyed as far east as Elam and started dealing with, people like the East Indians or the West Indians and things like that, or the Western Asians. Sorry. the Western Asians. We started dealing with people like the Assyrians and the Babylonians who carried us all the way through the land. So this is our place where we was at, right? And if you follow this chart, you can see a lot of the people that you'll read about in the Bible, because a lot of these people were closely knit people, right? So their cultures and their languages, as we will prove in this presentation, their cultures and their languages are almost inseparable to a certain degree. That's why when you read the scriptures, the Babylonians show up, they can speak our language. They just know, we just know what they're saying. They know what we're saying, X, Y, and Z, right? But let's look at it. Proto-Semitic, right? And then you come over to the left side, it says West Semitic, Modern South Arabian, Ethiopian, Central Semitic. And then as we go down towards the Northwest Semitic side, and then you go down towards the Canaanite side, then you see Hebrew, Phoenician, and Moabite, right? Now, I'm showing you this for a reason. The Paleo-Hebrew language system is also called by scholars Phoenician, right? And I'm going to show you some artifacts, and I'm not going to give it away before we get there. So let's walk slow. But it's also called Phoenician. Have you ever heard of hooked on phonics? Anybody ever heard of hooked on phonics? The reason they call it phonics is because it's attributed to the Phoenicians that they developed the style of language, and they influenced language so much that the word phonetic comes from the word Phoenician, right? So let's get into it. What is Hebrew? This is from Britannica, right? You can go on Britannica and Google this, and you can look up the word Hebrew, and Britannica will have a whole article, and I just downloaded the article, all right? But I want to show y'all something very important. It's an Afro-Asiatic language group. It says Hebrew is a Semitic language of the Northern Central group. It is closely related to Phoenician and Moabite, with which it is often placed by scholars in a Canaanite subgroup. We just saw that tree where Hebrew was under the Canaanite subgroup, right? Spoken in ancient times in Palestine, Hebrew was supplanted by the Western dialect of Aramaic, beginning about the 3rd century BC. The language continued to be used as a liturgical and literary language. What does liturgical mean? Meaning they used it to teach doctrine. They used it in religious ceremony. All right. And literary language. However, it was revived as a spoken language. Read this. It's in green. Take a screenshot. Do whatever you got to do. It was revived as a spoken language in the 19th and 20th centuries. We're going to go into that later. But when they say that, they're talking about the so-called Ishman, right?
Right.
And it's the official language of Israel. Now let's keep reading. The history of the Hebrew language is usually divided into 4 major periods. You got biblical, classical, Hebrew, until about the 3rd century BC, in which most of the Old Testament is written. Mishnaic or Rabbinic Hebrew, which is coming from the Talmud, the Mishnah, things like that, written about AD 200. This form of Hebrew was never used amongst the people as a spoken language, only as a liturgical language, right? And then you also have medieval Hebrew from about the 6th to the 13th century AD. So when we start finding our people in Spain and Portugal, and we start finding our people throughout the Mediterranean in different places, even in Western Africa, we find some of our stuff near Timbuktu, right? When we start finding our artifacts and we start finding Hebrew, that's that medieval Hebrew that they're talking about now, right? From the 6th to the 13th century, when many words were borrowed from Greek, Spanish, Arabic, and other languages, and modern Hebrew, the language of Israel in modern times. So these are all different divisions of Hebrew. So because you see a certain script of Hebrew does not mean it's equal to classical Hebrew or is equal to modern Hebrew, right? Just because they use the same script does not necessarily equate those languages.
Right.
And we're going to go further into this. I want to read this pink highlight as well. Modern Hebrew, based on the biblical language, Notice that it says is based on the biblical language.
Mhm.
Not it is the biblical language.
Right.
All right. He said these are kind of blurry. If they're blurry, I'm not going to be able to edit it because it's inside the document, but I'm reading it right off of there. So, and when I send out the slides, you'll get a copy of it. Right. But once again, it's on Britannica. Y'all can just Google the word Hebrew in Britannica and go to the Britannica link, and you'll be able to see everything I'm reading. All right. It's right off the website. Modern Hebrew, based on the biblical language, contains many innovations designed to meet modern needs. It is the only colloquial speech based on a written language. So they created a language and modified an existing language so that they can use it today. That's what they did. That's the difference between modern Hebrew and what they call biblical or liturgical Hebrew. Right? Now let's keep rolling. Now you have a bunch of ancient Hebrew texts and inscriptions and things like that we can go into, and I'm going to show you some of them on this presentation. But once again, you're going to have to Google it. All right? You're going to have to Google it because I can't go far into it. You're just going to have to look at the information for yourself. All right? And I'm looking at my phone at the same time, so y'all bear with me. Okay. Hold on. Bear with. I'm trying to make sure it looks clear. So when I'm looking at it on my phone, it looks clear. It is a little bit blurry, but for the most part, y'all see what's going on. Okay. So ancient Hebrew text, you got the Shebna inscription. All right. Hold on. What happened? Y'all still there? Okay. Yeah. For some reason, my screen doing crazy stuff. All right. So you got the Shebna inscription. You have, it says that's roughly from about the 7th century BC, roughly the time of Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Nahum, and Zephaniah, right? This fragment or this piece of archaeology right here is known as K.A.
Right.
Salaki Israel.
Hey, yo, Salaki, y'all. His internet going crazy. Y'all bear with us for a little bit. You know, hey, he said Shalom to you fake Israelites. Well, how about this? While we waiting on Jonathan. How about this? Watch this, y'all. Watch this. This is what always happens. Watch this, right? While we waiting on Jonathan, click that link, and you can come up as long as you have your camera on. You can show us that we fake Israelites.
Yeah. Hop on the live.
Yeah. Oh, you just got saved, I think. Hold on, we're gonna see if his camera start working. We're gonna see. Oh, you got saved by brother Jonathan, man. Jonathan must like you, man. The brother Jonathan must like you. You good, Jonathan? Hey, you muted. You on mute. You on mute.
Mute.
I don't know if he can see us real quick.
Hey, while Adawan figuring that out, hey man, hop on the live. Yo.
One time for the one time. That's all.
For the one time.
I don't feel good, but I can always chop up a daggone pig. Doggone it.
It's probably one of those.
Of course, you don't.
All right, we're gonna wait on the brother Jonathan to get right. But check this out. Listen, there's a lot of stuff that we bringing out that we only giving to the brothers in the camp. This is to make them better teachers on these streets. You see what I'm saying? And better camp leaders. All right, we're always striving to be, be able to explain everything we're talking about right now. We're going over Galatians 3 in the background. That joint crazy. You know what I mean? All of that. I'm gonna take Esau off the screen, man. He ain't gonna hit the link. But I always do that. Nah, I ain't gonna boot him. But I just took him off the screen. But yo, check this out, bro. This is what Christians do. People that hate this truth. Nobody goes and scoffs a Muslim. Nobody goes and scoffs TD Jakes. Nobody goes and scoffs a Hindu. Nobody goes and scoffs none of these people. This is how you know what you are watching and what you believe in is true. Right? This is how you know what you believe in is true.
That's right.
Go ahead, Boaz.
Because if you got the time to do that, but you ain't gonna say nothing to them Jewish people, you know what I'm saying? To them you-wish people. There's many of people you could say something to for real, for real. There's plenty of people you talk to. You good, Adawan?
Yeah, I believe so.
There we go.
All right. Y'all go ahead. Y'all continue.
I'm telling you, I'm done with this. But anyway, so I'm gonna get back into it, right? Most High willing, we can get through this without Satan trying to block the word.
That's right.
So you have these are ancient Hebrew texts, right? You have what they call the Shebna inscription. It's from the 7th century BCE, roughly the time of Jeremiah and a bunch of other prophets, right? It's an important Proto-Hebrew. They call them proto, meaning first or early, Hebrew inscriptions found in the village of Silwan outside of Jerusalem. And they found this in 1870. Now, look at the script on that. That's what you would call the Paleo-Hebrew, right? But I want to demonstrate to y'all tonight that the Paleo-Hebrew was not used exclusively by Israelites. This is what we have to understand. This language system that we call the Paleo-Hebrew was not used exclusively by Israelites. All right, let's look at some proof of that. All right, well, first, before we get into it, let's look at this. These are features of the ancient Hebrew text. Now, I highlighted the word ancient on purpose. There are no vowel markings because the Masoretes added the vowel markings to, as they say, preserve the vowel sounds in the Hebrew words. And we're going to deal with this. All right. There was no final letters in the Paleo-Hebrew. When you read biblical Hebrew today, or if you read modern Hebrew, they have what they call final letters, where certain letters change form if they're at the end of a word. All right. They use the Paleo-Hebrew script. They utilize consonants that doubled as vowels. So like the wow or the yod, those two letters double as vowels, right? In the Paleo system. In the same script that can be found written by the Canaanite people, and it evolved from the pictographic script that is closely related to Egyptian hieroglyphs, which makes sense because where did we come from? We came from out of Egypt, right? So we're gonna see some of this Paleo-Hebrew. Hey, let's get 2 Kings 17 and 22 real quick.
Okay.
And go ahead and read it as soon as you get it.
22 and from the top.
2 Kings 17 verse 22.
17 and verse 22. Kind of one. This is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17 and verse 22. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them.
Come on, go to 24.
Until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants, the prophets, so was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuthah and from Avah and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof.
Hey, you see that? So when the Lord kicked us out of the northern kingdom, right, in the ancient days, he allowed these heathens to displace us and bring other people into our land, right? So those other people who came into our land, they called themselves Sumerians, or Samaritans. So some of the Samaritans are northern kingdom people that you read about throughout the Bible, and some of them ain't, right? There go your verse right there. Some of them are not. Well, let's look at some of the influences that these people left behind. Following the Bronze Age, Phoenician, Hebrew, and many of their sister languages were largely indistinguishable, meaning that if we go back in time to look at those languages, it's almost impossible to tell them apart. And you're going to see that in this presentation. All of these languages contain 22 consonantal letters, right? By the 5th century BCE, the Paleo-Hebrew script had been largely replaced by the Aramaic alphabet, the official language of the Persian Empire. Makes sense because we went into Persia, right? Which is when you start seeing the adoption of a different form of Hebrew. That's when you start getting the square letter Hebrew that we are used to reading when we look at the Masoretic text, or if you go to Bible Hub or whatever like that, right? Finally, the square script Hebrew evolved from the Aramaic. You understand? All right. I gotta get through this because I know my internet is stupid. So these are some Paleo Hebrew inscriptions that we can find in archaeology. The one on the left is a seal from the 6th century BCE, and I believe it bears the name of Hezekiah, the king of Judah. Right? That's one of the most important archaeological finds in biblical history that's ever been found. That one right there. The one on the right is silver coins from the 2nd century following the death, burial, and resurrection of Hamashiach Yahushua. So after, and we talking about before the Bar Kokhba revolt, right? Y'all can Google that, Bar Kokhba revolt. But before the Bar Kokhba revolt, these coins would have been in use, right? Showing us that our people were still there following 70 AD. Small pockets of our people were still there following 70 AD. All right. Now, what are the oldest known Paleo Hebrew artifacts? These are the oldest known Paleo Hebrew artifacts. And the one on the left ain't even from Israelites. And look at the letters. Don't that look just like Paleo Hebrew to you?
Yep.
That's from 3,000 years ago. That's from the 10th century BCE. That's roughly the time of David and Solomon's reign. But this is, they believe that this is a Canaanite inscription, right? To the right, you have the silver scrolls, which I have the alternate name of it right here. It's called the Ketef Hinnom scrolls. I'm going to put that in the chat for y'all. And all of this stuff, go back and fact check it. Like I said, Salakia, hold on. Go back and fact check it. But this is Ketef Hinnom scrolls, all right? And then I'm going to let one of y'all, I got it. Okay, so the one on the right is called the Ketef Hinnom scrolls. That contains what scholars believe to be a portion of Numbers chapter 6, the priestly blessing, right? That we say at the feast days, right? But they just, whoever this was, they just had that portion of the scripture on this amulet, right? And they use it for whatever they used it for. All right. Like I said, this first one on the left is not an Israelite artifact. So this demonstrates to you firsthand, this is primary proof, primary evidence that other nations and other civilizations use the language that you call Paleo Hebrew. So it's not exclusive to the Israelites. All right. Now I'm going to just run through very quickly some other non-Israelite Paleo Hebrew inscriptions. This one's hard to see, but Google this on your phone on the side if you can. It's called the Ahiram sarcophagus. He's a Phoenician king. And if you look right below the red letters, going towards the right at the top of the sarcophagus on the side of the lid, those are Paleo Hebrew letters. And if you Google it, you'll see better pictures. I just wanted to get the whole thing for you.
Okay.
All right. And these are Phoenician people. Once again, who are the Phoenicians? The Phoenicians are wayfaring people. They're the Canaanites. They are who we call in history. Well, the Phoenicians actually set up a large empire throughout the Mediterranean. and they set up places like Cyprus. They set up places in northern Africa, and they traveled as far, some believe, as far as North and South America before, you know what I mean, some of the so-called white men did it. So the Phoenicians was out here. They was putting in work, right? They Canaanites, but that don't negate the type of things that they left behind in history.
Right.
Right? Let's keep rolling. Right? Just flip that around so y'all can see it. This right here is called the Tel Dan Stele. This one right here is a Canaanite inscription, but it bears the name of Judah. I believe that's Judah, or it's something else. It might be Judah. What you say?
No, I was just trying to read it real quick.
Okay, Khan, no, you good. Yeah, so that's the Tel Dan Stele. That's also a Canaanite inscription, but once again, it bears the marks of Paleo Hebrew.
Right.
Okay. So we can't pretend like the scripture didn't say the Lord was going to bring a pure language to us at the end of time, right? We doing our best with the Paleo Hebrew, but the Paleo Hebrew itself was used by the Canaanites. We got to take that, right? Look at this. This is called the Idalian bilingual, and it's called the Idalian bilingual because it's bilingual. You have Phoenician and Cyprian, right? The language of the people of Cyprus and Phoenician. And once again, like I told you, the Phoenicians set up places like Carthage. They set up they set up shop in Cyprus and all throughout the Mediterranean, right? So right here, this is a stone, kind of like the Rosetta Stone. And this stone right here helps scholars crack the code of how to translate and how to understand certain languages. Right. But once again, not an Israelite artifact. But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so that's basically like you said, like the Rosetta Stone, what they got today as far as like translations. These were like the before you get the apps type of stuff.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's right.
I honestly think this is how they learned each other's language or dialects back in ancient times as well. You know, you have
you never know,
right on tablets or stone, and people would read. I mean, you would know that reading more or less was for a higher scholastic person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
lower level. So
right, not for the everyday layman. Right. That's right. That's why when Christ, and this is something I spoke about in a different piece of research, but that's why when Christ comes up and starts speaking, the people are like, "How do you know letters?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because it wasn't natural for everybody to know how to do all that.
Right.
But
You the carpenter.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. This one right here is called the Baal Shemim inscription. Right. We're going to get back into the presentation, but I wanted to give you some textual or some physical evidence to show you that we're not the only people using this paleo. Right. So when you see a scoffer, get in the chat and say, "Oh, y'all fake Israelites and y'all got a fake language and y'all speaking the Canaanite language." This is why they saying that. Right. So that you can have context and understand why they would say something like that. Look at this. I'm gonna run through these quick, but I mean, you can look at this one on the left and tell that ain't us. Right? It says this of Esh Munazar. If you look at it closely down there, that's Paleo Hebrew inscriptions. Lily Bayam Stele, right? Same thing. Look like something from Egypt. You got the little crescent moon at the top, inverted moon with the 3 pillars and all this type of stuff, right? Same thing at the Yahweh Milk Stele, right? But wait, there's more. All right. This is the list of non-Israelite Phoenician inscriptions that they have found. All you got to do is type in Phoenician inscriptions. Go to Wikipedia. People always trying to stomp on Wikipedia. Let's do something real quick. Wikipedia is a good place to start your research.
Okay.
I wouldn't go to Wikipedia as a final proof when I'm in a debate or scholarly argument, but I would go here to find the sources that they quote and then go to that source and verify that source. And if you look at this picture, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those are purple because I clicked on them and I took the sources and I went back and traced the source and verified that it was real. I put in this presentation. That's all of them. So once again, don't act like the Paleo Hebrew is only ours. We can no longer hold that argument. That would be a flawed argument, and you would lose that very simply with somebody who know what they're dealing with, right? The Samaritan Pentateuch is another artifact, and when we just talked about the Samaritans, it's arguable whether or not those people were even physically in the land of Israel during the first century or following the Bar Kokhba revolt. We don't know that. We don't know where these people came from, but they want to tell you that those are the Samaritans, right? Well, look at this. They use a dialect that's very closely related and branched from the Phoenician Paleo Hebrew that we call Paleo Hebrew. And this documents writers, they didn't have a problem changing the text of the Bible, right? They said there's one place where where the Bible says that everybody should go to Jerusalem. They changed that to everybody should go to Mount Gerizim, right? If you look at passages following Exodus 20:2 through 17, Deuteronomy 5:6 through 21, right? And textual criticism, like I said, that's another separate lesson. Textual criticism and the research of scholars in the field have helped us identify these discrepancies in the Samaritan Pentateuch. So if somebody want to use that as a source, that's not necessarily the strongest source because we have evidence and proof that it's been tampered with and changed over time. All right. So then you got the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? The Dead Sea Scrolls, they may call them the caves at Qumran, right? It's the same thing because the Dead Sea Scrolls around the Dead Sea Basin, there's like a mountain ridge that runs around it, and that area is called Qumran. And these scrolls were found in a series of caves, right? So their great antiquity brings them close to the Hebrew Bible period itself from as early as 250 to 200 BCE. For the first time, Hebrew variant texts are extant and all known major text types are present. Several texts in the Paleo Hebrew script show that this script continued to be used side by side with the Aramaic script for a long time. So if you are the type of person that you are inclined to reject the Aramaic script Hebrew, or what we would call the biblical Hebrew or the Masoretic text, if you are inclined to reject that, you're going to have a lot of difficulties studying your Bible in the original language. Because when you go and look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, they were preserved in that language far more abundantly than the Paleo Hebrew. Right? The Paleo Hebrew, I can name off. I got a list right here somewhere. I got 3 manuscripts of the Old Testament, and they're only fragments. I have 3 manuscripts, fragments of the Bible in Paleo Hebrew, based on my research that I could find. I've only found 3 manuscripts. One of them is the Leviticus scroll, which contains about 16 chapters if you put it all together, but it's still fragments. Then you got the silver scrolls that we already saw, which is Numbers chapter 6. Then you got 4Q Paleo Genesis through Exodus, which once again is fragmentary, and you got about 30 chapters worth of information. Outside of that, most of what you read in your Bible was translated from the Aramaic script and Masoretic text. About 80% of what you read in your Bible. That's why when you go to Bible Hub, you can pull up a word, a Hebrew word behind every word in the Old Testament, because we have manuscript evidence to support that. We don't have manuscript evidence in Paleo Hebrew in those type of numbers. All right. So it's a lot of information, but this is the type of thing that you need to know. It's not necessarily one of those lessons that's like, I'm jumping off the walls, getting a bunch of precepts and we cutting up heathens, right? But this is the type of thing that'll really cut a heathen if they try to point you, try to tell you you're a fake Israelite. Right? Tell me how the so-called Jewish man, right? How he already done put his language together, got his own land, got all these resources, taking over. How you did all that in the midst of the curses, and the Lord said that the other nations got to be destroyed first.
Good point.
How you already done reclaim the language, you done put it back into use, right? How you doing all that when the Most High said that was going to happen after he gathered the nations? Right? So these are things we need to know and be able to smoothly break down. Now, the Masoretes, a lot of people talk about the Masoretes. Oh, they added the vowel points. Those vowel points was never there. This is where we're going to get a little bit deep. This is not a milk lesson. I'm telling you now. This is not a milk lesson. We're going to get deep, but I'm going to show you historical evidence that demonstrates that our people had vowels in their language. Now, Israel going to lose their mind. Look at them. Y'all put sevens in the chat if I lost you, right? Put sevens in the chat if I lost you. Put the butterfly wings in there if I'm winging it, right? Because I'm telling you, this is where Israel get mad right here. Israel says, no, you didn't have no vowels in the Hebrew language. Now, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question, and we're going to do this slowly because we got to teach with finesse when we coming into difficult topics like this. And we're going to touch on the Lashawan Kodash as well, right? So I'm not stepping on the Lashawan at all, by no means. That's why we posted up the brother's message earlier, and we greeted everybody in the Lashawan dialect, right? But I'm going to show you something very important. Okay? So the Masoretes, they was from the 6th to the 10th century BCE. Does anybody in the chat know about approximately when Esau converted? Does anybody know approximately when the Khazars converted? Now, we know Esau was already stealing our stuff back during King Herod. We do know this. But does anybody know when Esau converted? All right. I'm going to show you something. The Khazar Empire, I'm going to show you something. The Khazar Empire, if you just Google it, in between approximately, give or take.
You're in the matrix a little bit. Out of
there you go. Not that.
You're in the matrix a little bit.
Break it.
No.
Hey. Okay.
No, we can't really hear you.
It's like if anybody can hear him in the chat, throw a 7 up in the chat. If you can't hear him, throw a 1 up in the chat. Okay. I am too busy, said, are there other languages you guys speak outside of Hebrew? Okay. There's brothers that do speak other languages outside of Hebrew. I'm not one of those brothers, I will say. I did learn a little bit of Spanish when I was in school, you know what I'm saying? But I did not stay with it. I didn't even get to the second stage of Spanish for real. I was in the beginning, so I know only a little.
Yeah, the people of Israel are scattered all about. So you have, Spanish, you got French, the language of our oppressors. These are the languages that we would speak outside of Hebrew. We try our best to speak the Hebrew tongue, because even in the scriptures it says that the Hebrew tongue, when spoken, has more power in it than if you spoken in a different tongue. So that's why it's important for us to learn Hebrew. Especially like when we say the Adonai Palal, which is the Our Father's prayer. We start off with Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Kadash. You know, these are the words that take more power than just speaking it into English. You back at him.
Khan, all praises to the Most High, man. Hey, I'm gonna try to get through it. Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, if this thing cut off again, I'm probably just gonna record this live, or not live, and then put the video up. You know what I mean? But when you start getting into information like this, you know, I believe personally that there are algorithms in place that would not allow this information to come out. So,
Satan trying to take away from the word.
Yeah, Satan trying to take away the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're trying to sow work right now.
Con, but I'm gonna get back into it. I'm gonna try to get back into it, most I will. So, let me see. Here we go. Boom. All right. So, really quick, the Masoretes, and y'all just look this up. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the Masoretes. A lot of people believe the Masoretes made up out of thin air the vowel sounds and added them to the text in order to change what the Bible is saying. Okay. In order for us to go with that theory, we would have to throw away the entire version of the Bible that we have. Because the Masoretes are the people responsible for the Old Testament translations that you have. Right? Before the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, the Masoretic text had a long standing tradition. And to throw away the Masoretes and to say the Masoretes added the vowel points out of nowhere would also render their entire translation unbelievable.
That's problematic right there.
Hey, right? So we can't throw away the Masoretes. We can't. That doesn't make sense. We got to be intellectually consistent, right? Y'all can read that screen. I'm not coming back to it. Now, I do want to say these 2 points at the bottom. It says, we have no way of validating where the Masoretes pronunciations came from. This is true. We don't know where their pronunciations came from, but we do know their pronunciations came from somewhere, and they didn't make them up out of thin air. And I can prove that in a couple of seconds. And let's get to it, right? The vowels. 25 to 50 ancient sources without vowels. Now, so before the vowels were started to be used in the Hebrew system, you had the Paleo Hebrew system, and they did not write the vowels down. The language was called a abjad language. Let me put this in the chat for y'all. Abjad. Right? Okay, so the language was called an abjad language, which means that the vowel sounds are not written down. It does not mean they do not exist. So before the vowel pronunciations were added to the text, you had about 25 to 50 ancient sources that the translators were using that did not have vowels. And from there, they primarily use three different pronunciation systems to add vowels. They use the Babylonian vocalization system, they use the Tiberian vocalization system, and they use the Palestinian vocalization system. The one that they stuck with ultimately was the Tiberian vocalization system, right? And that's where you get your vowel points that you see on Bible Hub and Blue Letter. Okay? Each of these vocalization systems reflect a system of pronunciation that the early ancestors were trying to preserve. Modern day Hebrew does not use the same pronunciations as ancient Hebrew. And you learn this when you go to learn the language. If you pick up Rosetta Stone and download that software on your phone right now, and you type in modern Hebrew, that is not equal to biblical Hebrew. It's totally different because they use mad loaner words from Germanic languages. They use mad loaner words from Yiddish. and stuff like that. Plus, their pronunciation systems are different. They say different vowels differently. It's a totally different language. You can't learn modern Hebrew and then go read the Bible. It don't work, right? So for people to say that Yiddish and biblical Hebrew are equivalent would be false, right? Let me show you something else. The vowels. Proof for vowel sounds in the early Hebrew language family and dialects. Now remember, we saw that Hebrew came from a family tree of different languages. In order for us to say that the Paleo Hebrew did not have vowels, we would have to demonstrate that all the other languages it came from also did not have vowels. When we were in Egypt or in Kemet, the people spoke what they called the Medu Neter. They have vowel sounds in the Medu Neter. The Hebrew language that we speak in the Paleo Hebrew comes from the Phoenician. The Phoenicians have vowel sounds. That is closely related to Ugaritic. Ugaritic has vowel sounds. That's closely related to, I can do this all day, Ethiopian. That has vowel sounds. So you mean to tell me we the most advanced people on the earth? We the smartest people on the earth. We the top, we the cream of the crop, but we ain't got no vowel sounds, but everybody else do.
Some ain't right.
And our language came from their language.
Right.
There were Canaanites speaking Phoenician before there was a such nation as Israel. Let's keep rolling. Languages like cuneiform, which is the language of the Akkadians or the ancient Babylonians, Medu Neter, Ugaritic, and other Proto-Semitic languages all made use of vowel sounds other than simply A-class vowels. So when we read the Paleo Hebrew in the Lashawan Kodash dialect, we only use A-class vowels, right? Let's keep reading. The Phoenician Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, is closely derived from the Phoenician language system, and they utilize vowel sounds other than A-class vowels. The pictographic Hebrew, which is a forerunner of Paleo Hebrew, is related to the Medu Neter, which makes use of vowel sounds. We could do this all day, right? Let's keep rolling though. Now I'm gonna show you a different way to prove this. I want to ask one of y'all brothers on the screen, where did the Septuagint come from? What is the Septuagint? Somebody tell just a couple of words.
Mm-hmm.
The Septuagint is the Greek version of the Old Testament. It's the Greek translation of the Old Testament. Now, what we're looking at right now is the Greek New Testament. Mm-hmm. There's a word in the Greek New Testament that's called Melchizedek. Why are they calling him Melchizedek? If they read this text about Melchizedek from the book of Genesis, which is written in Hebrew, right?
Right.
All right, y'all follow me. Y'all walk with me. Like I said, the same milk. We read about Melchizedek in Genesis. If I'm writing his name down, why did I add those vowels? If those vowels don't exist in the Hebrew language system, why did I add those vowels when I made that word Greek? I'm going to show you why. So this word right here is Melchizedek. When you read it in the Greek, it's pronounced just as it looks. Melchizedek, right? Melchizedek. Now, let's look at it. This word is what they call a transliteration. A transliteration is a word that is written to represent a word or spell a word in the characters of a different alphabet. What does this mean? If I wanted to spell Boaz's name in Chinese, instead of making up a brand new name for him, I'm going to take Chinese sounds that still say Boaz. That's called a transliteration. So in the New Testament, they took the word Melchizedek in the Greek. They took that word and represented the way that it was spelled in the Hebrew, but they brought it over to the Greek. Just like this. If my name was written in the New Testament, they would say Jonathan. They not going, or they would say Jonathan because the J didn't exist, right? Or Yochanan or something like that. You're not gonna give me a brand new name. You're gonna try your best to represent my name in your language.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they represented Melchizedek's name perfectly in the Greek language. Now, if there's only A-class vowels in Hebrew, that would have said Malak Zadok. It would not have said Melchizedek. And there's many such names in the New Testament that speak of Old Testament prophets, and they do not only use A-class vowels. You cannot get around this, right? The New Testament was written, most scholars say, between the middle of the 1st century and the early parts of the 2nd century. So that means that all of this was done way before anybody got their hands on it to change our language. This was done during the 1st century when our people were still in the land. And this is how we pronounce Melchizedek, right? Let me show you something. This is from the Hebrew in the book of Genesis. This is the word Melchizedek from Genesis. If we read this with only A-class vowels, it will sound like this. Wa Malakaya Zadok, or Malak Zadok. Malakaya Zadok. But it don't say that. They didn't write that in the Greek. They put Melchizedek. Why? Because they're matching it with the vowel sounds they heard, or they're matching it with the vowel sounds that were represented in the text. If you read it with the vowel sounds, it says Umalki Zedek. Melchizedek. That's how they came up with that Greek pronunciation of Melchizedek. The reason I asked you about the Septuagint is because we can find that same representation of that spelling and the way that word is pronounced in the Septuagint. Now, there's caveats to this, because some people might think, see right here, this is the Septuagint that I put up on the screen. Septuagint goes back, once again, early parts of the 2nd century BC. So now we before the time of Christ, and the Greek was rendering it like this. So it's not just the New Testament. Look, that's the exact same word. This word right here, y'all see my cursor? This is the exact same word that we see here. Right? Same spelling, even though this predates the New Testament.
Right.
So I'm bringing this out for a reason. I'm not saying that the Lashawan Kodash is not a legitimate language. That's not at all what I'm saying. In fact, the Lashawan Kodash is just as legitimate a language as any other language. Because how are languages created? Languages are created when people come together and say, hey, we got to find a way to communicate. And then they do so. And then they create words. And then they add words. And then they create pronunciations. And then somebody comes along and creates a grammatical system in order to further understand that language. So for a person to come back and say that the Lashawan Kodash is not a real language, when I can come up to Boaz and say, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah Barakatah. I didn't say no English, and he still knew what I was saying. We're speaking a legitimate language already.
Okay.
Right? Not to mention.
Go ahead.
Khan, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Finish
one more
that.
point on that. One more point on that, right? Last point on that is this. How many people tell you that American English is not a legitimate language? But they don't speak like they do in Britain.
Nope.
They don't speak like they do in Ireland. They don't speak like they do. We could do this all day, man. So for you to say that the Lashawan Kodash is not a legitimate language, you're demonstrating your own lack of understanding of languages. Khan, go ahead.
Nah, I was gonna say, going on that point, what is an illegitimate language that ain't nobody talking about is glossolalia.
There you go. Right.
Straight up. You go
Hey,
look up
that's a fact.
glossolalia
That's a
on
fact.
Google, and it's going to tell you an unknown language, and people will tell you, any Christian will tell you it's God's language,
Right?
But they can't translate it,
Then they can't understand it.
Nor can you can't tell me you understand it because you can't even repeat what you just said.
Yeah, facts.
I can repeat. Shalom Madawanya, how about Shem Yahal Shah Brakatah?
That's right.
They ain't gonna repeat Shabbadah and doing all of that. They not about to repeat the exact same thing.
Exactly. And number one, they playing. Right. But that's a cut. That's a cut. Yo, we actually have we have manuscript, or I shouldn't say manuscripts, but some of the elders have put together books and documentation and done their best to bring this language together, man. Who are you to not use that language? Right? This is a cut to everybody who want to step on the Lashawan Kodash, man. Right? This is a cultural staple that your people are trying to create in the land of their captivity. Why would you not support? It don't make no sense. Right? But let's look at this. I want to read this red part real fast and then we're going to move on. It says the only way to transliterate the word Melchizedek into Greek is to represent the sounds from the Hebrew language. So the fact that the name is called Melchizedek demonstrates that those vowels existed. Now, we're going to keep rolling. Textual criticism. Once again, y'all ain't getting this class. I'm telling you now. This class cold. I went in and I did mad research on textual criticism. This is probably my favorite subject now. I used to like going at the Old Testament onlys, but they family. So, it's like a sibling rivalry type thing. But textual criticism, this is my new favorite thing. Isaiah 49:5. Look at this. Pull that up on your Bible real quick. I want to read it in the KJV for the people. And I'm gonna show you something about textual criticism. What is textual criticism? Textual criticism is the attempt to gather all of the available manuscripts and reconstruct the original version of that manuscript. You may have various different variants or textual variants or certain words that are omitted, but for the most part, the Bible that we have is spot on, word for word, perfect based on the information we have. And we have more information for the Bible than any other classical document, right? But go ahead,
Khan, it's the book of Isaiah, chapter 49 and verse 5. And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him, through Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord, and my God shall be my strength.
Now, I'm going to show you proof that the vowels existed. The scholars who translated the Bible had multiple methods of translating the Bible. Sometimes they copied it word for word, but sometimes somebody was reading the Bible to them, and based on what they were saying, they were writing it down. We have proof of this because certain Hebrew words were mistaken for other words that sound the same. If I tell the brother Boaz, write this, it's on. We're going to go over there and pick up Judah and pick up Yawasop, right? When he gets to the word there, what if he spells the word there wrong? What if instead of putting THERE, he puts THIER or THEYRE, right? It's possible because those three words sound the same. They're homophones. They sound the same. Well, the same type of mistakes happen when the translators copied the Bible, right? His version that he just read in the KJV says that though Israel be not gathered, Look at your page and look at the NIV on the screen. Your page says, though Israel be not gathered. But the NIV says, to be his servant Jacob, to bring Jacob back to him and gather Israel to himself. Let's see what else this says. Okay, so there you go. The KJV says, though Israel be not gathered. The NIV does not say that. The Tanakh, the JPS Tanakh, and Adawan Yakamia know what I'm talking about. And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob back to him, and that Israel be gathered unto him. Once again, it doesn't say anything about Israel not being gathered. Let's look at it. These two words in the red right here are what they call textual variants. It's two words in different manuscripts that are spelled differently, and they mean totally different things, but phonetically they sound exactly the same. The only difference is the vowels. So if I'm reading this, it would still say lo, right? Lo is found in the first manuscript, and the word lo is found in the second manuscript. The only difference is that the word lo in the first example here, that means not. That is where we get the word la'ah from. And the second one means to him. It's a preposition and a personal pronoun. It means to him. The first one means not. The second one means to him. That's why one translation of the KJV says, though Israel be not gathered, but the other one says, Israel was gathered to him. Those two words sound exactly the same, and the scholars and the translators didn't know which one was the original, so some versions say one and some versions say the other. That's textual criticism. But that alone proves that there are two words that sound exactly the same. And if those words, if we were to read both of those words in the Lashawan dialect, they would not sound the same. And it would be impossible to make this mistake. The first word would be la'ah, and the second word would be lawa. So they would not be homonyms, homophones, and they wouldn't sound the same. Right? Same thing's done here. I don't even know what verse this is. I don't know why I didn't put the verse. Psalms 103, right? And it says, NIV says, know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. KJV says, know ye that the Lord, he is God. It is he that has made us, and not we ourselves. The NIV says, we are his people. KJV says, and not we ourselves. The Amplified Bible says, know and fully recognize with gratitude that the Lord himself is God. It is he who has made us, not we ourselves, and we are his. Right? When you go into the Hebrew, this right here is the Masoretic text. This is the word again that you saw on the last slide. That's your lamed, that's your aleph. This is the negative particle. So it means no. Right? Another example of the same type of textual variant. And this is the BHS below with the critical apparatus. And it shows that there's a textual variant here. If you read this little blurb right here, it's showing you that some manuscripts say the other spelling and some manuscripts say this spelling. That's what all of that is. It's not nothing too crazy. All right. I'm gonna jump off of that and I'm gonna finish this up. So there's a couple of things you need to take with you to understand what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that we can no longer use the argument that there were no vowels in the ancient Hebrew system. That doesn't hold up in three different ways. Textual criticism demonstrates that there were vowels and there were actually vowel sounds, the Hebrew. That's number one. Number two, transliterations demonstrate that the vowel sounds existed. And number 3, just by a historical analysis of the other cultures and the other peoples of that area that we spoke similar languages with, they all have vowels. All right.
Salakia.
Khan, go ahead.
Could we say like they don't use certain vowels like you?
So certain vowel sounds do exist though. So they had A class vowels, they had U class vowels, and I believe they had I and E class vowels. The O class vowels most likely evolved over time, as well as some other variants. Some other variants in vowel sounds. Another thing, I spoke with the brother Divine Prospect, Shalom to him. He said something heavy. He said that diphthongs, a diphthong is when 2 vowels come together to make a brand new sound. This happens in English all the time. The word pieces, Pieces. We don't pronounce that pieces, it's pieces. The I and the E come together and they form one sound together. This happened in all languages throughout human history. Diphthongs have existed since the beginning of written languages that scholars can go back and observe, right? Diphthongs do not happen in the Lashawan Kodash as of yet, because we don't have a formalized system of how to pronounce certain words. For instance, some people may say Yasharala, some people may say Yasharal, right? They may stop on that L. Like who know what's the rule behind where to stop, right? With your pronunciations. We don't say Shalawama, we say Shalawam. You see what I'm saying? So I'm bringing that out to show you that there's still work to be done. Which one of y'all amazing Israelites is going to step up and help do the rest of the work that needs to be done to formalize our language so that we can have written rules and grammatical rules, right? All right, let's finish this out real fast. Finish this out because there's an important slide I gotta hit. I have to keep hitting on this. Let's read this real quick. The Yiddish language, one of the many Germanic languages, it don't say it's an Afro-Asiatic language. It don't say it's a Phoenician language. It don't say it's a Canaanite language. It's a damn Germanic language, bro. Right? I mean, what we got to do? Like, I don't understand. Right? One of the many Germanic languages that form a branch of the Indo-European language family. Yiddish is the language of the Ashkenazim, the people from Ashkenaz. Central and Eastern European Jews and their descendants. Written in the Hebrew alphabet. What? That's not the Yiddish alphabet? That's not the Yiddish alphabet. It's written in the Hebrew alphabet. So Yiddish is a separate language that's written in another language's alphabet. Just how, and this is what Esau does. We can show you this all throughout history. Guess what? English is written in the Latin alphabet. But we use Aramaic numbers. And sometimes when we feel like it, we use Roman numerals. We're a very strange group of people. You understand what I'm saying, bro? Like, we just go around the earth stealing stuff from people, man. That's what the American culture does. Look at this. The earliest dated Yiddish documents are from the 12th century. So when you say, I gotta hit y'all with this. When you say that the Aramaic script Hebrew or the biblical Hebrew is Yiddish, you're throwing your own documents away. Right? I would hit y'all with the clue bomb, but I ain't gonna do it. Right? Instead, the Yiddish uses the Hebrew alphabet, but the language is different. It's mainly Germanic and Slavic. Totally different languages. Once again, we can talk about that. These are examples of the Masoretic text with the vowel pointings. The vowel pointings did not originally exist. We already spoke about that. The Masoretes added them over time. All right. These are the Hebrew letters. The Hebrew alphabet influenced the Greek alphabet, right? The structure of the Hebrew alphabet influenced the Greek alphabet. That's why we call it a alphabet. Bet because of the order of the letters. Aleph,
Right.
Bet,
Bet.
Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Het, Tet, Yod, all of that. That's the Hebrew, right? But then the Greek is Aleph, Bet, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon. You see what I'm saying? It's the same order.
Kind.
All right.
I seen that.
Mhm.
I was gonna say
You
I
good?
seen that a brother was bringing that out before. He was like, a lot of these other languages that we have, like Greek and so forth, it's a derivative and it comes from the Hebrew. Like they took it off of that, put their own little spin on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But even the alphabet, a left bet, like
Right.
I was like, oh, this is
That's
some
right.
interesting information. But
Hey,
I
that's right.
yield.
That's right. We influence them. We influence them. Even when you go into the proto, what's it called? Proto Hispanic languages. And I brought this out on a lesson before. But if you go into the Proto Hispanic languages, it looks like Phoenician. It looked like Paleo Hebrew.
Slakia,
God.
I got a video that I ran into, and a Hispanic brother was actually saying that their Spanish is a broken language of Hebrew.
Yeah, and you know what? Because we stayed in our ancestors were in Spain longer than they were in Israel. Our ancestors were in Spain and Portugal longer than they were in Israel. We have a historical record that has Israelites in Spain for over 1,000 years. And we know that our people was in the Mediterranean during the New Testament, the first century.
Okay.
All the way up until the Spanish Inquisition, all the way up until we got expelled from Spain and Portugal. We was there the entire time. So, once again, and they call it Ladino. Ladino is a mixture of Proto-Hispanic languages and Hebrew. They call it Ladino. And what's funny is we call the Northern Kingdom sisters and brothers Latinos. Right? Most High got a humor. All right. Hey, let's deal with this right here. Usage of an exclusive set apart language. We hold to the pre-exilic Paleo Hebrew, but we do not reject the Aramaic script Hebrew either. And that's important. Anybody who tells you that I don't read that's Yiddish. Anybody who tells you that, they're lying to you because they go to Bible Hub and they go to Blue Letter. And that's how they find out what the Hebrew word is. They don't go to, there is no Bible software that you can go to get the paleo breakdown. You know why it don't exist? Because the paleo manuscripts don't exist. It's only a handful of them. You can't find the book of Daniel in Paleo Hebrew. Somebody produced that. If I'm lying, somebody produced the book of Daniel in the Paleo Hebrew. Now I'm gonna say something. You may find a backwards engineered Paleo book of Daniel, where somebody took Daniel in another language and transferred it to the Paleo Hebrew, but you don't have no historical artifacts of Paleo Hebrew Daniel. You don't, because they don't exist. You got Leviticus, you got the Silver Scrolls, and you got whatever that last thing I said it was. It was like Genesis through Exodus. That's all you got. All right. Just keep reading real quick. We are working to make it a living language. If you could take anything from this lesson, and Boaz, you gotta go back and make this a short. You gotta go back. I know you can do it. Go back and make this a short. We are working to make this a living language, but which one of y'all gonna pick up the work of putting the grammar together so that we know exactly how to use this? Because guess what? Somebody had to do that with English at some point in time. Somebody had to do that with French at some point in time. Like, don't feel like you doing something nefarious or you doing something that undermines the integrity of your language just because you got to go and do the dirty work, man. Somebody got to do it. Right? We working to make this a living language. We have a distinct dialect, just as people in the South have a distinct dialect of English that's very different from people in Boston. That's very, very different from people in Cali. That's very different from Mexicans who speaks English, right? All of these dialects are dialectical differences, and you might say something different, but guess what? You still speaking English.
Okay.
So if you choose to use the Lashawan Kodash, if you choose not to, all praises to the Most High. If you choose to use the Lashawan Kodash, you need to take it serious, and you need to be teaching your family, and you need to be working with somebody to put the grammar rules in place so that we can start writing books and writing songs and writing poetry. Why the only thing we doing is saying prayers and singing? Y'all better stop playing, man. Right? All right, let's keep going. Fake language. I gotta hit this. Racists have long criticized Black pronunciation and sentence structure as fake language. Even in slavery, they used to tell you that you wasn't educated and you couldn't speak, but a lot of the words you were saying was Hebrew. You said massa, they thought you just can't pronounce the word. I built your house. I can't pronounce that word. What you talking about? Right? It's certain cultural words that I'm holding on to. We came up saying kumbaya. Right? We held on to our language as much as we could, but we formed it and mutilated it with English, and we created a Creole language. That's what a Creole is. A Creole is a mixture of cultures or languages, right? So they try to delegitimize our effort at building cultural structures like language. Judges 12:6 demonstrates that dialectical variance existed even in Israel. Let's get that real quick. And this is going to be one of my biggest points that I need y'all to leave here with. There were dialectical differences even in the Bible. People spoke different words differently. So stop acting like because I want to use the Lashawan Kodash, or I want to mix that in with the biblical Hebrew, or I want to mix that in with some other version of Hebrew that I just made up right now. Stop acting like that's not legitimate. Go ahead.
Okay. There's a book of Judges, chapter 12 and verse 6. Then said they unto them, then say they unto him, say now Shibboleth. And he said Sibboleth. For he could not frame to pronounce it right. Then they took him and shew him at the passages of Jordan, and there fell at the time of the Ephraimites 42,000.
Hey, you see that? And that was an Israelite who couldn't. It was a Northern Kingdom Israelite because they already knew, like, oh man, he gonna pronounce this wrong. Watch this. That's almost how we used to be playing with Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters when we was in high school. Like, hey, watch this. Watch. I'm gonna ask him to say. I'm gonna ask him to say this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you playing with them because you know they ain't gonna be able to say it the way you say it. Like, or sometimes I do that with brothers from the north. Like, hey, say that again. You know what I mean? Like, you know they ain't gonna say it right because y'all have dialectical differences, but at no point in time did you tell that person you're not speaking English.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I be getting on Judah all the time. Judah country is a mug, bro. Judah is from the deep North Carolina country, man. Like that brother eat he eat sugar with his grits. That's how country he is. All right. But we gonna move on.
Hey, you know what I was just thinking about, Adwan?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when your parents tell you to close the door, what does it sound like?
Right. Close the door.
They say shut the door.
Shut the door.
They don't say shut the door.
Right.
Shut that door.
Right. If they said that, you'd be like, what do you say it like that for?
And you know, when you look up the word doe, it's referring to I believe it's referring to a deer, if I'm correct, like a baby deer, a doe.
Yeah.
You know, but
that's right. Hey, that's a good point. And you know what? I'm from I call it Judah country, but I'm country for real. Like, I used to be worse, but I don't say over there. I say over there. That's how we say it. Like, hey, it's over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how we say it. So it's like, it's a dialectical difference, but when I'm speaking to you, you know what I'm talking about, right? Now, look at the red part. It says, if you call this brother rolling, if you call, see, that's what I'm saying, brother. That's what I'm saying. We gotta really bring that brother Judah to council, man. I don't think, you know, Yeah. Hey, over yonder. Hey, my grandma said over yonder. Right. All right. Look, it says if you call the Lashawan Kodash fake, it's all good. But if you call the Yiddish fake, it's anti-Semitism. And both are dialects based, and we read this in Britannica, based on the Hebrew language system. That's a cut. So every time they want to say, yeah, it's fake Hebrew, it's like, yo, you cut yourself. Matter of fact, we got proof. Boom, look at this Edomite. Right? You know we got to get on Dirty Harry real quick, man. Right? This man look dirty.
God.
Right? Eliezer ben Yehuda, it says, arriving in Jerusalem, 1881, ben Yehuda immediately put his plan of Hebrew revival into action. Now, remember, we told you that the Hebrew language was a dead language until the 18th or 19th century. This is, or the 19th, 20th century. This guy who back, right? This is the guy arriving in Jerusalem. It said he left behind his birth name, and with his wife Deborah Jonas, he did what? He created the first modern Hebrew speaking household in 1881. They trying to tell you that you have an illegitimate Hebrew. But guess what? They just created theirs about 140, 50 years ago. When y'all gonna get up off y'all asses and help to finish creating our language? Right? That goes for me too. But I got to get on y'all. You see what I'm saying? When we gonna do that? When we gonna take up the banner and say, yo, this is my language, and I want to break down the grammatical structure of the Paleo Hebrew. We got a lot of work to do. People playing around. That's right, y'all. What's up? Hey, and check this out. Everybody and they mama making music. We don't need no more music. We don't. I love music. I make music. Brother Boaz make music. But guess what? We don't need no more damn music, Israel. You know what we need? We need somebody to work on this so we can get our language up off the ground and we can speak it to our children, and our children can wake up and lie down speaking their language.
Salakia.
Khan, go ahead.
Hey, here goes a good one. Music is the most influential thing in the community. Imagine we was to have our own language and put it to the music, what it could do when we teaching it to the children.
Hey, that's right. That's heavy. That's heavy. I got to give you a bomb for that one. That's heavy. Say it again. I done messed the bomb up.
Like you got the music is the most influential thing that we have right now.
That's right.
Especially hip hop. Hip hop is one of the most influential impacts on every culture. You got Japanese, Chinese people having rap battles right now, and I don't know what they saying.
Right.
They look like they going hard.
That's a fact.
Imagine if we had our own language down to the T, what it could do for our community when it comes to raising our children, right?
That's right.
To be the next generation.
Hey, that's right. I got it. Boy, hey, that's right, man. That's an absolute fact. Imagine the cultural significance too. Like that's what you're talking about. The cultural significance of, I talk about this all the time, and I can't give it away yet, so I ain't gonna say too much. But I'm gonna say this. We always talk about how long the black dollar stays in the community, but how long can you live your life within your Israelite community? Right? You got to leave your Israelite community to speak Esau's language. You got to leave your community to watch Esau's movies. You got to leave your community. Hey, he said we wicked. You got to leave your community, right? To do all sorts of things in this world. You want to go to a basketball game, you got to leave your community to do that. Where is the Israelites? See, Yahweh ain't in the truth neither. But where are the Israelites that are willing to put in a brick and create recreational activities for us to do? Where are the Israelites that is willing to put together a sitcom TV show for our wives to watch while they at the crib chilling? Right? Where are the Israelite companies that is gonna put together these things so that we don't have to go outside of our community to get these things, man.
Kind.
Right? We don't need I love the music, Israel, but we need to build something more.
Kind. Just can I go in more on that?
Yeah,
Adawan?
please.
Like the TV shows for kids. What you got? I forgot what that kid show is that everybody watch. Right? You got the Shark Doo-Doo song.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What if it was the Israelite do song?
But that's what I'm saying. That's crazy. How many of us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of this? Why nobody said, you know what? We should create. Why all them Israelites on Clubhouse? Why we didn't say we actually need to create our own platform that we can get on and debate these people? Like, it's certain things like that, bro. Like we be thinking small. Esau don't think like that. Esau be thinking on a big level. Like he look back and see a company coming up. He be like, I need to buy them out. That's what Facebook did to Instagram. Facebook bought Instagram. They was like, oh, they doing some big things. Go ahead and snatch that up.
Let's get that.
Yeah. Pay whatever they want. Like, let's get that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna hit this point. I'm gonna let you say what you're saying. Go ahead. You good.
No, I was gonna say I don't want Yakum y'all right. You know what I'm saying? And the rapper Mashak Nagid, like real talk.
That's right.
If brothers, let's say you listen to that, memorize the lyrics. Yo, we used to do this back in the day. I remember my brother and my cousin, they'd go back into the bedroom. You wouldn't see them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see them. You know what they doing? They writing down the lyrics for Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, if you was listening to Bone Thugs, they was rapping.
Yeah, you writing everything down. You
writing the lyrics down. Yo,
Yeah.
and it's different from back in the day because you rolling with a cassette tape. So you got to rewind.
Yep.
Press play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You ain't got the CD where it's like, oh, let me go back a couple of seconds. Now you got to hit the rewind button and catch it. Like, what'd he say? And you got to play it over and over again. It's the same difference.
That's a fact.
It's the same difference. We do that with the music today. Do that with the songs you listening to today.
Yeah.
City Girls. I don't know who these other dudes' names is. YBN, ABN, NBA, all of them. Memorize these songs. Memorize these songs where brothers are sitting back here kicking the Hebrew in there and they teaching you something. And if you don't know what it means, ask somebody. You can write it in the chat. Hey, brother, what is that you said? What is Mashak Nagid? What is that?
That's right. Hey, these is heavy points that you're saying too. It's funny that people saying that's mad nostalgic. I used to do that. I'm a lyrics person. I used to print lyrics out. I used to go to the printer, print them joints out, and hang them up on my wall. Like if it like Nas, I think not one of Nas albums, I had did a couple lyrics like that, some Tupac stuff. This is the type of stuff that AHOS, this the spirit that we gotta be in. I be trying to hold my words, but the spirit just on me right now, like the zeal. My people need to know that we are going to be the ones to create our culture. The Most High is not going to do this, and then your culture is back.
Right.
It's going to be just like Ezra and Nehemiah. There's nothing new under the sun. Ezra and Nehemiah was brought back from captivity, and what they had to do? They had to build their culture. They had to build their culture, man. You're going to have to do that. And if you don't have that spirit on you, then it just ain't for you, man. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do this because the livelihood of your wives, the livelihood of your children depends on it. They're going to fall out of this culture if they don't have a reason to stay. Right? So, I'm going to move on with that. I was going to deal with Ebonics, but we all heard of the term Ebonics. I'm not going to go into that. We need to be reviving our own dialect, right? Now, for more information on this prayer, go see the presentation that we did on the Lord's Prayer and the introduction to the Hebrew language, and I think it was called the Adawan Palau. I also did one on the Shema as well, and maybe we'll do one on the priestly blessing as well in the future. But hey, all praises to the Most High. I appreciate y'all for joining us today. That's all we got, man. Like I said, if I can leave you with anything, build your culture, right? Because only you gonna do it. Ain't nobody else gonna do it. All right.
Salakia.
Con.
I got something else for you. You know them one brothers. What's them one brothers I told you about, Adawan? I was like, that song, it kind of remind me of who was it? Far Side.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know Far Side?
Right. Okay.
If anybody know who Far Side is, throw a 7 up in the chat. If you're familiar with the song called Drop 2 7s in the chat. I'm gonna give you some real deep information I recently found out. I was watching a video somebody shared on Instagram, right? A girl who do music. She's showing the song Drop. If you ever seen the video, it was like they were going in reverse, right?
Okay.
They said that they had a person who does linguistics, right? Who came in, they rapped the song in reverse, recording it while they were moving backwards. He had to come up with a dialect to like basically say the words how they would formulate in the mouth, out the mouth.
Yeah, so that when it was reversed, it would match up.
And they taught themselves how to do that. Do you know how long they said it took him to do that?
That's crazy.
They said maybe 5 days.
Dang, they was dedicated to that, boy.
It was, and that's the key. It was dedication.
Yeah, that's right.
That same dedication with our own language,
it's
where we could be right now as a people, working with each other, like how you walk in the stores and you see the Africans and they talking to each other. You don't know what they saying. They having their own conversation. Just imagine if that was us having a conversation in front of them. They'd be looking at us like,
yeah.
And they understand each other very well. And they're laughing.
Right.
What are they saying?
That's right. And you know what? I be loving that. Like when I be going to the store and I see Northern Kingdom and they just be speaking to each other, I'll be like, dang, bro. Like I'd be kind of jealous of that for real. Cause like they can be in the store talking about you, but you don't even know. Like you don't even know. Like you just walk up smiling. They like, man, what's up with this dude, man?
God, the fridge is on. What is he doing?
Yeah, they picking on you, but you like, hey, what's up? And they speaking their language, minding their business, man. So we got to get to that, Israel. Hey, love y'all. All praises to the Most High. Go back and watch it if you need to. Any of the brothers in the camp that need the slides, I will send it to you. All that information is in the curriculum, and we're gonna keep the questions short on this section. It ain't gotta be nothing deep, but just understanding the nuances between the Yiddish and our language. That's the main only thing. So, hey, love y'all. Shalom.
Shalom.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin,